And we're live. Welcome to Music Matters 2020. I'm your host, Jason Tramm. We're delighted that you can join us for our unique podcast community, where we explore the issues and challenges in the performing arts world in 2020 as seen through the eyes of distinguished participants in the arts and organizations. And we're delighted that you can join us here today. Please remember to subscribe to us on YouTube and hit that bell icon for the most up-to-date information on upcoming guests and topics. Like our videos on social medias and please share them and bring more people in, because we are a community of professional artists and people who love that art. So thank you so much for joining us today. And we're delighted that we can present a special show for you. And this is, we have members of the Taghkanic Chorale. This is a choral society based in Westchester in Yorktown Heights, Westchester, New York. And we're delighted that they could join us today to discuss a very exciting concert on December 12th, which will be live streamed at 7:30 p.m. So welcome, members of the Taghkanic Chorale.
Hi.
Thank you.
I'm going to start, with Deborah May, the president of the Taghkanic Chorale, and let's go through a history of the chorale. How did the chorale get formed, and give us the history?
Well, I've only been with the chorale for about 6 years, but I can tell you that the chorale was founded over 50 years ago. I believe now it's 54 years. We've had a number of different conductors during that period, and you, Jason, are our most current conductor, and we value you so much. But we've had people who have stayed for close to a decade, and probably, I don't know, David, we have probably 5 or 6. We've had 6 conductors about
10, 10 to date. So it's been a long history. Our conductors have stayed anywhere from a year to 10 years, and Jason, I think, is in his 3rd year. The previous conductor was here for 10 years. So we tend to keep people once we get connected.
And our membership varies. It definitely varies with the repertoire that we're presenting. So it's anywhere from a little bit above 40 to over 60. So the best that we've had is when we present the Messiah, Handel's Messiah, or when we did Carmina Burana. What's amazing is that during this pandemic period, we had 40 singers participating, either through the Zoom format or through ensembles, physical small ensembles. So it attests to, people's love of the chorale, love of the music, interest in keeping the chorale going. And I think, the motivation that was given by our choral conductor through this period, so that people who did not want to participate in the Zoom format, which was probably anywhere from 25 to 30, another 10 did not like that format, but being able to sing safely outdoors and and masked worked for everybody. So I think it's been a great year, and that we have 40 singers during the fall season really says something.
Yeah, that's really exciting. If you look at the statistics nationally, I'm a university professor when I'm not with the Taghkanic Chorale, and I monitor these things carefully. Numbers are really challenging during this period because telecommunications, like we're doing right now, are really the only way we can rehearse safely without the spread of the virus and being very careful. So the Zoom format and these platforms are a challenge. But I think that there's ways to approach that have been that we can minimize the distance it feels like between us. It's been it's been an issue certainly, but it's been something I'm proud of the members who've really worked hard and are starting to get used to how this platform can be beneficial. Linda, how long have you been with the chorale, Linda?
Oh gosh, probably 7 or 8 years now. Something like that. It's been a wonderful experience.
Now, Linda, so you were in charge of helping put together the live pre-recorded performances. Now, this is interesting. Of most of the groups have been doing Zoom rehearsals and virtual choirs, which we did this semester. But we decided early on between the board and between the people on this call that we would give a try at live rehearsals. And I was a little skeptical at first, because it's kind of an unknown territory, being safe and but also meeting the needs of people who wanted to get together and make live music. How did you help us make that happen? You were instrumental in this key endeavor.
Well, as you know, Jason, there's nothing like being there in person. A rehearsal remotely is nearly impossible. On Zoom, you have to mute yourself, then the conductor can't hear anybody. It's just, you don't get the feeling that you're there singing with people. It's just not rewarding. You can learn the song, you can make the product, that's it. So we began early on thinking about the safest way that we could possibly rehearse in person if we could do it. And that obviously meant singing outdoors where there was this great air exchange. It meant being socially distanced and masked. And yes, you can sing in a mask and people can hear you. We'll get to that. It meant using a small number of people instead of 60 people all packed together or even spread out. If you could bring it down to 10 people or something like that, it would be that much safer, and rehearsing for shorter periods of time. So what this meant first and foremost was finding a location outdoors where we could rehearse. And fortunately, I have a backyard that was suitable for that. So that's what we ended up doing.
It certainly was.
We have a little deck out the back door where we could put up a keyboard with an extension cord, and Jason could stand on the deck and be seen by everybody out in the lawn. And then we would put up this motley assortment of chairs, and people would be spread out and singing. It meant having the rehearsals usually in the afternoon, when it was still light out, when it was warm enough, not first thing in the morning when it was chilly, because we're talking fall semester here. October, November, it got pretty cold. So that meant that we couldn't rehearse at our usual time of Tuesday night. Instead, we had to have Saturday or Sunday afternoon rehearsals. And so it took a lot of organizing to figure out who could make it when. We had to figure out, of the people in the choir who wanted to participate in these ensembles, who were they and how many altos did we have and how many sopranos or tenors or basses, and construct these different ensembles. I think we ended up doing about 6 different songs, and not all of the songs had the same people in them, although I think they all had the same basses in them because we didn't have very many basses.
Like most choir societies, tenors and basses are at a premium. So
Absolutely. So we had to organize this list of participants in each ensemble, and then sometimes reconfigure it if somebody dropped out or somebody said, I'd really rather sing that song. Can you see your way to making that happen? And at some point we had to get a real commitment from every singer that they were going to see this through, they were going to learn the part, and they were going to be there on recording day. Unless something terrible happened and they were in quarantine or something, they had to be there. So it's different in small groups. In a choir of 60 people, if some alto decides to drop out, whatever, But if you have an ensemble of only 8 people and one of the altos drops out, that can make a huge difference. So we had to talk to our people and get their buy-in at some point that they were committed to seeing this through. And it was a lot of fun. We discovered a few things along the way. I don't know if you want me to talk about that now.
Sure, I think we can all attest to that. I remember for me, one rehearsal, we had a leaf blower in the background, and who would have thought that a leaf blower can... I'm yelling as loud as I can over a leaf blower, trying to figure out how to... But live without a net, certainly.
Yeah,
Well,
one of the things we discovered...
thing was that I think we got rained out once. I mean, we just happened to be blessed by good weather, except for one rehearsal, which was just, God was on our side.
It certainly felt that way. Yeah. Of course, being outdoors 6 feet apart is still not the same as an indoor choral rehearsal where you're shoulder to shoulder with your fellow altos or whatever section you sing in. But it was the glass is half empty, the glass is half full. It was a lot better than nothing. And we were able to make music together. We were able to hear each other somewhat. We were able to, socialize with each other, from a distance. and it was absolutely worth it. It was a lot of fun. It was one of the highlights of my fall, was being able to sing with people rather than just on Zoom.
I know. For me, as a conductor, not having been in front of a chorus, I ran Zoom rehearsals all summer, twice a week, and I did 27 virtual projects, and also my semester in the college level, I've been doing tons of those as well. But to get to make live music again was really emotional, especially the first couple times. It was really difficult to get wrap my arms around until we were there.
I think too, one of the more moving moments was Linda has obviously neighbors, and there are two little girls, and sometimes the neighbors would stand, the owners of the home would stand there and listen on their sort of porch. But near the end, the two little girls got boxes, and they stood on them, and they were looking over the fence while we were singing, and we had an audience. I mean, that was really moving. It really was.
Well, it doesn't matter the size of the audience, but to know
Right.
that your music is appreciated by the people is very special.
It sure was, yeah.
Now, David,
So-
you had a really big role in that. After we finished our rehearsal process, which was September, October, and then into November, we're still rehearsing outside. But then we had to actually record these pieces that we've been rehearsing, 6 pieces of music. How did we do that?
Well, I think our first hope back before we started to confront reality was that we'd be able to do the actual recording outside too. But that was not going to happen until right before Thanksgiving. And I thought, okay, so we've dodged the weather, we've dodged the leaf blowers and the passing planes and everything. But I don't think that if we put together a specific place and time to make a one-time recording, that's necessarily all going to, align again in a positive way. So I said, we have to find someplace indoors. The obvious place was where we usually perform pre-COVID, which was a church in Croton, New York. And we called them and we said, well, we can't really put a concert on at this moment, but we would like to use your venue and just make a recording, and be assured that we will do everything that is prescribed for doing it safely. One of the things I was struck by back in, I guess, March when this all happened was the one thing that seemed to be clear was getting people together to sing was probably about the worst possible thing you could do from a risk of COVID spreading standpoint. And so we had to deal with that. We had to say, well, we're doing something that's really probably better done about a year from now, but we have to do it. We have to do it now in order to make a concert for our audiences in December. So,
but we had to find ways to do it safely. We did it safely, is the point.
Exactly. And so, and Linda was very crucial in deciding what safely meant. And we put together some, I thought, relatively draconian procedures, but they were absolutely necessary for everybody to feel comfortable, including me. And so the one thing that really made sense was we, first of all, started with a very small group. There was only, I think, about 15 of us in total. And the sanctuary is very large, and so we could really disperse probably 6 to 10 feet apart. We made sure that everybody had masks. One of the discoveries that I made was there are singers' masks where the mask is much further away from your face. It gives you a lot more breathing room. You can inhale without choking yourself. Linda's showing you one now. And several of us, invested in those because as weird as they look like star stormtroopers, from Star Wars, but they're black. As weird as they look, they really do get the job done. And the main thing was we
even beta tested it. We actually recorded. Linda in the backyard recorded us singing with a mask and without a mask. And with the mask, it was just the sound is almost the same.
Yeah, as counterintuitive as that is, it was really again a godsend that these things actually sort of fell on our side of the way we wanted them to. But the main thing I think was the ventilation. We wanted to make sure that this was as close to the outdoors as we could in middle of November. So we opened all the windows of the sanctuary that we could, and everybody was asked to bring fans. And some people had some good size fans, others had tiny little window fans or desk fans. I think we had 15 fans altogether. And we plugged them wherever we could find them and plugged them at the front and the back of the church. And then after we sang each song, we'd spend 20 to 30 minutes with everybody leaving the church, standing out on the sidewalk and letting the ventilation happen for 20 to 30 minutes. It was it was an amazing experience.
I remember the church also had really good windows, and the windows were open everywhere, and it was a little chilly, but in the end there was tons of positive airflow, just keeping things moving, and I felt safe the whole time. What was it like, Deb? Deb, what was it like to sing with a mask? What did it feel like to actually be in there in the recording session? I know you and I talked quite a bit through that evening about how it felt to be in there and actually making music together.
It really felt wonderful to be. I think also it was great to be there because we had some really tremendous concerts there in the past, so the ambiance was familiar to us. I felt safe, and I know that the mask was needed. It's a little more challenging. The airflow is a little bit more difficult, and when you're singing for a recording like this, sometimes it felt like you weren't quite getting enough oxygen, but then you got to go outside in the cold and wait for the next time to come back in. I think that everyone that participated was moved, as was I. And it was as close as we could get to singing in a real venue, as if we had a real audience, and the recording was the audience. So it was really, really a tremendous experience, and I think everyone who participated understands that we are probably going forward with another season of Zoom, but they're looking forward to ensembles, and I think those people who participated will participate again, but those that didn't, we have some people that might be interested. The challenge for someone like Linda and for you is going to be that so many people want to participate, and you've got to keep the number on a particular piece down. So if the challenge is keeping people happy that they're singing what they want, and that they're singing enough, because we have some people who are only doing ensemble and not participating in Zoom. So it presents challenges, but I think everyone is looking forward to the upcoming season. And I don't think that in September, if you had said to people, we're going to be doing Zoom and these ensembles for 2 periods, they wouldn't have been that excited, but they are, in our new reality.
What struck me is when we got in the church after, we hadn't been together since March physically, when we got into the church, and even with masks and even standing far apart, the experience, the visceral experience of being in the same room with other human beings that you could hear and blend with and harmonize with, and experience the silences of the rests and the fortes and the pianos, brought tears to my eyes. I hadn't realized how much I had deeply missed it until that moment, and it was just so moving.
Yeah, for me, during the recording session, at the very end, we did Earth Song by Frank DiCelli, which is such a striking and powerful piece. But at the end of the very piece, it goes the word peace on the E major chord, and then it cuts off, and then there's just deafening silence, and we sing peace again. And that really, I started crying. It was such a powerful moment.
Yep.
It makes us realize how much we need the music and how much the music really does affect us. And I think the virtual projects are really, really important. I think that it allows us to be completely safe. It allows members who may have compromised immune systems, who may have health issues, it allows everyone to participate in their own way. But it's interesting that the Taghkanic Chorale was able to do both. I mean, that's really unusual, and I think it could be a blueprint for a lot of choirs to approach how they rethink music during this next 6 months.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Now,
do.
you're both. Each person on this call is involved in multiple choirs. We're all singers who love to sing in different places and do different things. How are your other choirs adapting to this COVID period?
The other one I sing in is on hiatus, and the other one in the area that I know of that's more comparable to us is also on hiatus. And that would have been my instinct. I would have just thought, well, since it's so dangerous, we won't do it. And I'm thrilled that I wasn't the one who got to decide, because looking back on it, I am so gratified that we've done what we've done. But it looked like such a mountain on the other side of it. And Jason, it was your vision that helped us keep the faith through all of the valleys of the shadow that we faced a little bit
Well, we
along the way.
certainly had we had our last March. We came up with this idea of doing the virtual choir projects, and that was only the second one I'd ever done. It was really an experiment. I really didn't know much about it, and it was kind of jumped in with both feet. And luckily, I have a lot of technical assistance with my son, who's into the tech stuff and the video stuff. And we've grown with the product. So like you'll see the video, even the virtual videos you're going to see on our concert. We've been through so many experiments now that we really feel comfortable with the process and making it both exciting to the audience and interesting. And I think mixing that with the live performance is going to be truly special.
Now we do sing in another group. Linda and I. She's the assistant choral director there, and we've just did Zoom. But I think, Linda, we are considering doing some virtual ensembles in the spring in the other group as well.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
you'll both certainly know the protocols to take. And what are some of the lessons learned as you approach that with that other group? I think it's these experiments are such a challenge, but I think there's nothing like approaching a challenge, meeting that challenge, and then producing something that really touches people. I can't wait to see what people think of the virtual concert on December 12th. I think it's going to be really a fun experience for people.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's going to be motivating. I think it's going to be motivating probably for other groups. It's going to be touching, I think, for the audience, anyone that views it, because I think that many people didn't realize that this was possible. And so I think the quality of the recordings mixed with the ensemble live music is going to motivate people to do more.
I think one of the other takeaways here is that during this difficult period, different people have different needs. As Jason pointed out, for people who are immunocompromised or risk averse for whatever reason, the in-person stuff just doesn't feel safe to them. But for a relatively younger, healthier person like me, the Zoom stuff is just not as satisfying as the in-person. And what Taghkanic Chorale has managed to do is offer both options. And people can do one or they can do the other, they can do both, they can do neither, whatever suits them, whatever fits their needs and their level of comfort. And I think that's a great thing because we were able to retain so many members by offering these different options, and not just retain membership, but help people in here the way music does. And that's important.
I was so struck in my sort of initial, oh, we can't be possibly thinking about this attitude. I was so struck by our survey, which we did of all of our membership online. And I just thought, well, okay, so 6 people or 8 people of us will think this is a good idea. And there were like 35 or 40 of us out of, that's almost everybody in our chorale that said, no, we want to participate. We will participate in one or both of those ways, either virtually via Zoom or in small groups in person, or both. And we'll also continue to participate in, buying our music and paying our dues and all the things that would be part of a normal chorale season. And I was just heartened by the widespread approval of us as an organization and leadership of the organization doing this, because we certainly couldn't have done it without them. We would have had a quartet perhaps, but we needed everybody to kind of buy in, and most of us that could did.
Yeah, I think that's the role that singing and music play in every people's lives. It becomes such an important component. While I find that avocational choirs, they do such beautiful work because it's not here for the money. It's because of a need to perform and a need to come together. There's the social part. There's also that love of the music, and the most important thing for me in this period is maintaining choral communities and maintaining our communities and keeping the communities as vibrant as we can. And the three of you really helped. You had such a can-do attitude. There was never like, no, we can't do that. That's impossible. We seriously considered and thought and agonized over these decisions. And I think it shows real leadership. And I just wanted to thank all three of you for your dedication to that, to keeping music alive in our community.
Well, we want to thank you, Jason, because it's your optimism that has enabled all these things to happen, and to lead us through, let's say, a recording session where we have only 10 minutes to record before we have to leave the room, and we get 2 or 3 takes. And most I think I can safely say, for myself anyway, if I were directing, I'd be like, no, let's do another take, let's do another, let's get it perfect, But Jason was just able to cheerfully stay within the limitations, and no pressure, and it was good. It worked.
Well, and compared to a live performance, that's only 1 take. So hey,
Live without a net. I always tell my students that what I love about live performance is that anything can happen, and that there's that excitement, that energy, and that visceral thrill. And that's the one thing that the virtual projects, that are pre-recorded. For those who may not know, who are watching the show, virtual choirs, there's a guide track that I prepare in advance, and then the singers record at home, either on a tablet or an iPhone. They record themselves singing. They send that in, and through technology, we put that together, weave that into sections, and put it into a visual choir project. But it's a very different medium than getting together in a recording session and watching a conductor and actually putting together the live element. What do you guys think, now that you've been through both processes? What do you think about the watching yourselves? What's it like to watch yourselves on one of the virtual projects, and to remember how you worked out and recorded it in the Zoom practices? What does that process feel like to you?
I think the ensemble was easier, when we saw a few of the pictures and heard a little bit. That's easier. I think initially the recording part of it was more difficult. You're looking at yourself and you're fixing your hair, and you're not sure that you initially love the sound as much. On the longer pieces, I think you got to the end and then you made a slight mistake and you're like, do I really go back? Do I really record? But you know what? It's music, and making music, I think, has impacted the soul of all of our members. At first, I think the recording aspect of it, they were really, very, very much afraid of it. It got better over time. And I think when they heard the first pieces that we did initially, and they heard that, wow, it's not just me. And that's the whole, that's I think what's important here, the takeaway, that it's not just the individual, but it's the greater group. And so when you can see that you're part, you're one piece of this greater village, it really can move you. You just don't need to get bogged down on the recording, the individual recording part of it. And I think it has encouraged people to move forward. And each time we've done a piece, we have a few more people participating. So that it's just been a very good year. And I think, Jason, we have a lot to thank you for your professionalism, for your sense of music, for your flexibility, because all of those things are important to the success, of anything, and definitely to this season.
Yeah, thank you, Deb. When you think about the recording, is when you hear your own voice on an answering machine, you're like, that's not me. That doesn't sound right. Yuck. And then you take and you're singing on an iPhone without any resonance or any reverb or anything like that helps you. Like, it really is a challenge at first. And a lot of professional singers I work with say the same thing. They're like, oh, I hate my voice on this thing. But what people don't realize is when we take it in, we put reverb on it. We put it like it's in a large room, and that really makes a difference on the sound. Also, just like a chorus, you're not alone. Even though when you record it, you're alone. But when you put it together, that they kind of adding more voices makes it sound choral and more exciting and more rich.
It was analogous to me to when we had before digital photography, where you had to take the picture and then you sent it away, and then a few days later it came back, and then it was only then that you figured out, that you had a good picture or not. And that's what this is like. I mean, you don't know until the final product, because all you've done is, take your little video, but you don't know how it's going to be part of something much larger, and it's transformative. It becomes a real concert rather than just you in a cave doing it by yourself. We need each other, and several of us together is way stronger than the sum of the parts.
Isn't that what's great about choral music in general? Is that people give away some of their individual identity, put that towards this group. We all come together for a unified purpose to make beautiful art, and I think that if more people sang in choirs, we'd have a much better world.
Amen.
Yeah.
And Jason, I think if your audience is listening to this and they get enthusiastic, we have a woman singing from Colorado that's participating in this year, and she's living in Colorado. We have 3 singers who used to sing with the chorale and moved away, and they're able to sing. So we have a half a dozen people who are not local but can participate in the rehearsals, can participate in the recordings, and come away with something, a sense of belonging to a musical group, which is exciting. And so anyone who wants to join us, we start again in January. And so, we look forward to anyone who would like to participate in this opportunity.
And Linda, I know that you're someone who does a lot of singing. You also do some conducting, and you're quite musical. What are some of the things that people can learn by doing virtual choirs? What are some of the strengths of doing this medium?
I've been saying from the start that this COVID thing, as hard as it is on choirs, is going to make us better choirs when all is said and done. So the ensemble work, obviously, if you're 1 on a part or 2 on a part or even 3 on a part, and you can't hear each other well because the other guy is 6 feet away, people are having to be a lot more responsible for learning every note and not just relying on their neighbor to get them through the rough spots. So that's one example. With the recordings, I'll tell you just from my own experience, it's like you say, you make this recording and you listen and you say, wow, that's so bad, So I'll go back and I'll make another recording, and I'll try to hit the high note not so flat this time, or I'll try to have better support or better tone or whatever. And I find myself, for every recording you get, I make 5, sometimes 30 takes, not all on the same day. and it's made me a better singer because I listen and I hear those flaws that I used to just ignore in the past, but I hear them and so not everybody is quite as perfectionistic as I am, but even for those of us who are less perfectionistic, I know everybody does at least 3 takes, and they hear what their issues are and they go back and work on them. So it's making us better singers.
I think the individual nature of having to work on your part and hear it, and it gives immediate feedback. And sometimes it's not to let that be daunting, but to use that as a chance to become a better singer. That when we're done with the COVID period and we do come back together, we can come out as stronger musicians individually.
You get this. You're singing the Hallelujah chorus, and you think, I got this. I mean, I'll just show up, email it in, no big deal. You realize, nope. When you're all by yourself and you're listening to just yourself, you're pretty imperfect. And so it really kind of gets you to re-examine, as Linda was talking about, your particular contribution and how you can enhance it.
Well, I want to thank all 3 of you for joining me today. Our concert is December 12th at 7:30. It's going to be broadcast on YouTube and on this very channel. And we hope that you can join us and invite friends and family to join us as well. And if you have any questions, how can we find out more? Deb, how can we find out more about the Taghkanic Chorale?
We have a website for the Taghkanic Chorale, and you can just look there, and it will give information about the upcoming concert. about the rehearsal dates that we have, which are always on Tuesday at 7:30. But all of that information is on our website.
Okay,
Tell us how to
Taghkanic
spell
Chorale.
Taghkanic.
I can do that. It's Taghkanic.
I'm always asked, is that the Indian spelling of that word?
That's a good David question. I don't know. Maybe we lost David. I don't know. It's probably an old, a lot of this area was settled by the Dutch. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's where part of it comes from.
Because everyone asks me because the Taghkanic Parkway is spelled differently. So
yeah, I think that this may be an old Dutch spelling. That's what I assume.
Okay, well, thank you so much, each of you, for your contributions, and I can't wait to share our product with the world and to make more music soon.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you. This has been fun.
Thank you for joining us on Music Matters. And remember, subscribe to us here on YouTube and share our videos and help us grow our musical community. And remember, keep music alive. Thank you.